once you've made some models and you've got a whole series of experiments and small models and this and that, is how to put them together into a book. So it would be something like this. So this is a way of keeping them together so they're not just in a bag getting muddled up, they're not just in a folder in no particular order, but it just means you can have a book where it keeps them sound, it keeps them from degenerating, and it also makes them much more easy to access. So here are just some I made probably with a class. They're just a whole series of different pop-ups, quite basic most of them, just so I can see or show how different pop-ups work. Take a pop-up, take your glue. You don't need to put glue all over the surface. You'll just go through tube after tube. So all you really need to do is put a thin bead of glue about 1 centimetre from the edge, just around the edge like that. That is really all you need to do. And then don't line up the edges, line up the spines. So this is the next one. You just line up the spines like that and then push them together. And so the next one, you don't need to put more than just a little bead round the edge. And then, as I said, again, it's lining up the spines. You end up with quite a neat book like this. You might find there are pieces sticking out like this. So in that case, I think in other books I've made, yeah, I've had loads of pieces sticking out like that all the way through. So don't worry about that. Just get 2 full sheets of card and just make covers. So you stick them on the outside. So, and again, you just put the glue around the edge of the last one and just stick that onto the big sheet. So when you've got a whole book full of models, you can just put a big sheet like this on each end. Possibly you could look at it and see you might trim it down smaller than that. Yeah, that's my recommendation for how to look after the pop-ups that you've made. The pop-up channel has grown in a rather haphazard way and now consists of a sprawling series of more than 70 tutorials. So I thought quite useful to make a series of playlists which can act as a guide to help you navigate your way through and find what you'd like to make when you're using these tutorials. So the first one is good for getting started. This is really kind of oriented towards teachers. So you look at that and it will just show you fairly simple mechanisms that can just get you started, get you going, so you get a basic understanding. It then moves on to easy sculptural foundations. So when you want to start making pop-up sculpture, making something really big and complicated, then the easy sculptural foundations will give you a whole series of potential starting points, which then leads on to useful building techniques. So these are ways you can add to the sculptural foundations and build, enhance, exaggerate. There's a series on pop-up figures. So here's a nice little example pop-up figure. And then there's a couple of technical ones. One is V-fold variations, because V-folds are one of the most important pop-up mechanisms, and there are a whole variety of them. And so there's a playlist on V-fold variations. There's another one on asymmetric mechanisms, because a lot of pop-up is pretty symmetrical, and it's quite nice to be able to branch off from that. And finally, the most popular so far, I think, is the one on pull tab mechanisms. So these are all just 2-dimensional interactive ones where you just pull a tab and things move anywhere. There's quite a few pull tab mechanisms scattered throughout the channel, and the playlist pulls all those together. I'm planning to do some more. I thought not too many more, or there'll be a sprawling list of playlists as well. So I'm thinking of doing something maybe on moving arms and articulation, something on geometric shapes. That's probably it. Other things might come to me, but normally the title of the playlist is pretty explanatory.